Hi, Jessica Hensley here with Heritage Homes Team, brokered by eXp Realty. And today I want to talk about buyer lingo. So, you want to buy a house. So, what are the terms that you need to know before you buy? A lot of my buyers get confused about different terminology that is used in the contract and just, what they can expect during the process. In a future video, I'm going to be talking about the exact steps that a buyer goes through, but today I'm just going to be talking about different terms that you should know before you buy. And by the way, share this video if you want to be entered to win a $200 gift card to a local business of your choice. And the one you should be sharing is the one from our page, which is Heritage Homes Team, brokered by eXp Realty. Okay, so first off, a lot of people don't realize that they need to have a down payment deposit, which is called earnest money. Earnest money is, just like the name sounds, is something to show that you are sincere and that you're serious about purchasing the home. You're putting this money up, and it typically will go to a trust account at the title company. So most of the realtors around here will have the trust funds held at the title company. The local ones are Security First and Kansas Secured Title. So you'll make your check out to them. And, there's not a set amount that has to be. I would say a lot of times people are doing anywhere from $500 to $1,000. Sometimes if you have maybe a cash offer, your seller might want you to put a little bit more down just to show that your offer is very strong and that you really do have the money to pay cash for the property. But I would say 9 times out of 10, we're anywhere from $500 to $1,000, $500 to $1,000. So what is this money for? Well, once again, it's a deposit that essentially holds the property for you. It's something to show the seller that you are sincere and earnest and that you want to purchase this property. So they're taking their property, the house, off the market after you've made your offer and it's all been accepted and fully executed. And so for that trouble of taking it off, it's no longer available to another buyer. They want to make sure that you're going to move forward. So the money is there to hold the property. What happens with that money? Well, in a perfect scenario, you guys go ahead and close on the property, and that money is applied towards your purchase price or is applied towards your closing costs. In some cases, you may cancel the contract and get the earnest money refunded to you. And this is all outlined in the contract, so it's very specific on how it's worded. But basically, if you have any type of contingency in your contract, such as financing contingency, appraisal contingency, inspection contingency, making sure the property is exactly what you are expecting and you are satisfied with all the inspections. If any of those things are not what you want or your lender wants, then you get the earnest money refunded to you. Now, any bills that you've incurred during the contract will have to be paid. So if you didn't pay for those up front, then those may be taken out of your earnest money, such as the home inspection, as an example. Because those home inspectors, they like to be paid too for their job. So if you don't pay them up front, then that's going to typically come out of your earnest money before it's refunded to you. So in some cases, the seller gets the earnest money, and that would be if your financing was in place, the house appraised for the contract purchase price, the inspections were fine, and you just said, you know what, I changed my mind. I don't want to buy the house anymore. I'm going to move to Oklahoma or something like that. So if you just get cold feet and you back out, then in that case, you forfeit your earnest money. And also, in many cases, the seller has the right to sue you for specific performance and force you to perform the contract. So those are just some things that are covered in the contract. So essentially, don't go under contract unless you're very serious about moving forward with it. If you think you're going to have cold feet, then probably not a good time to buy, right? All right, so the next term I wanted to talk about was closing costs. This is also something that's very confusing for all parties. A lot of times the seller will not understand why the buyer is wanting them to pay for the closing costs, and the buyer will feel like, well, the seller should pay for my closing costs automatically. So let's first cover what are closing costs. Next week, I'm going to talk about seller closing costs, but this week we're talking about buyers. So I'm only going to go over the buyer closing costs this time, but the seller does have their own closing costs as well, okay? So for a buyer is typically going to pay for the appraisal, and that's anywhere from $500 to $600, depending on your lender and what type of appraisal you're getting. You're also going to pay for your first year of your homeowner's insurance, and that's probably one of the larger ticket items on your closing costs. And of course, that's also going to vary depending on your insurance score and, if you've shopped around for insurance. So that's one of those things you could save on closing costs if you do some shopping around. So your homeowner's insurance, your appraisal, and then you're also going to pay for at least half of the title work and half of the closing agent fee. The title work is what the title company, they prepare the title commitment to ensure that the property is clear of any liens, clouds, or any problems that would hinder the seller from conveying the title to you in good faith. So this is them, the title companies, researching it at the courthouse. They're making sure that there's just no issues that would make it a problem for you to sell it down the road. And we always recommend getting title insurance. And that's going to be based on the purchase price. So these are things that, based on your own circumstance, your specific circumstance, I can get you more accurate numbers. But typically in our area, the buyer and the seller split the title work. To close it at the closing company, the title company, for them to go through all the documents with you, to sign and to notarize the documents for you, they are charging around $200 for the buyer and around $200 for the seller. So those are some charges you'll have. Beyond that, you're going to have some lender fees, and that's going to vary greatly by the lender and the type of loan you're getting. I'm seeing anywhere from 1 to 1.5% loan origination fee, which is based on the purchase price or your loan amount. So if you get a $100,000 loan and it's a 1.5% interest, or not interest, 1.5% loan origination fee, that's going to be a $1,500 loan origination fee. So those are just some ideas. Many times you can ask the seller to pay for it and negotiate that in your contract. These are all things that we can go over with you when it's time to buy. Let's see, you have an inspection period. So what that means for the buyer, it's very important that you do your home inspection during that period, because if you do it afterwards, then your inspection period is up and you can no longer back out because of inspections. Typically, we're seeing people do anywhere from 10 to 15 days for an inspection period. So I'd say, make sure you're scheduling your inspections right away. And again, this is something that your agent will help you with scheduling it and at least knowing who the inspectors are out there. Trying to think, appraisal, I think, was the last thing I wanted to cover. So what is an appraisal? A lot of times people get the appraisal confused with the inspection, but they are two totally different things. So the inspection, obviously, that's covering your structural, mechanical, plumbing, the roof, all of those things. It's like a contractor basically that's going through and making sure everything's to code, and where there's maybe some hazards or things that need to be changed. The appraiser will look at the property and notate anything that's obvious that's not to code per the HUD guidelines, but their primary job is really to determine value. So your lender has contracted with a third-party appraisal company, and they're letting this third-party appraisal company know, we have a property that we need appraised. Here's the contract and the details of the property. And that third party actually has multiple appraisers, if not hundreds of appraisers. And those appraisers will see this job come up essentially, and they'll accept it. They'll accept the appraisal for the area based on the location and their availability. So the lender is never actually in contact with the appraiser. The next step is the appraiser contacts the listing agent, schedules the appointment to view the property and to do that in-person inspection. And then it takes about a week after that for the appraiser to finalize their report and to turn it in back to that third-party appraisal company, who then sends it to the bank. So because of the housing crisis that America experienced in 2008, they changed some regulations and they made it where the appraiser was kind of held at a distance from the lender so that there could be no conflict of interest or no concern for the buyer not getting a fair appraisal. So those are some terms. We went over earnest money, inspection period, closing costs, and the appraisal. Tomorrow, I'm going to go over the whole process and what happens in each stage of the contract for the buyer. So if you are interested in buying or selling in Southeast Kansas, visit our website and check in, and we'll give you a call. Our website is sekhhr.com. And then remember to share this video for your chance to win this whole month. Anybody who shares a video that we have, they'll be entered to win a $200 gift card to a local business of your choice. Bye. I'm Jessica Hensley. We'll see you later.